Okay. Now, before I get started, you can't make this stuff up. But before I get started, I previously recorded this. Not previously, but I was live just a little under an hour ago. And I thought it was recording, which it was. All systems were go. Only to find out that afterwards, um, there was no sound. Okay. So before we begin, I can see that there are people in the room. For those that are in the room, can you hear me? Is there audio? Can you hear me? Let me type in the chat. Can you hear me? All right. I don't want to put anybody through that again. There is an audio issue. Okay. 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 All right. Now, let me start off by saying again, I sincerely apologize, but I sincerely apologize for not having audio for that prior recording. I am gonna ultimately take it down so that nobody gets confused. Um, but thank you again for for rocking with me, for staying with me, and for even watching this live. Okay, it means more to me than you could ever imagine. Okay, I don't take those things lightly, which is why I said, you know what, I'm gonna get back on here because I owe it to my audience. I owe it to those that are watching, that watch me, that follow me. Um, excuse me, to deliver my message. So again, I don't take that lightly. I thank you for your patience, your understanding, because again, I'm showing up in real time and we're gonna figure this thing out. So um yeah, we're back. Okay. So again, hello everyone. Now that you can hear me, hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. First, I want to start off by wishing each of you a very, very, very happy 2026. We made it. All right. It's New Year's Day, and I want to thank you for joining me live today. Live. Okay, on New Year's Day. Okay. First, I want to get this off the top. Okay. I want to say this loud and very, very clearly at the top of the episode. You do not need a new version of yourself to lead well. Okay. You don't. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay. You don't need to do that every January because a lot of people think you do. And you definitely don't need to fix what's not broken. Okay. We're not doing that. But I think differently. What if that next level of your leadership is not about doing more? Instead, it's about being more of who you already are. Yeah. All right. I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Quiet Authority Conversations. Okay. My name is Natasha. I am the founder of the House of Quiet Impact, as well as the host of The Quiet Mic. This is where we disrupt. We disrupt traditional leadership and those expectations that come with traditional leadership. And we reclaim the power of leading quietly. Okay. If you are new here, every Thursday, like today, I go live at 1 p.m. Central. Today's a little bit different because of our audio glitch, but I'm still live. I go live and we talk real talk for quiet leaders who want to lead with impact without performing, without pretending, and without shouting just to be heard. We're not doing that here. Okay. So I personally want to invite you and any others that you want to invite for these conversations that we have every week. Okay. For those that may not know a little bit about me, I will tell you a little bit about me. Okay. I spent over 17 years as an HR professional and as an HR leader. In that time, I led my own teams. I mentored others that were in, I will definitely say, some of the most challenging moments in their career, as they too were navigating, learning to lead their own teams. Now, I did all that stuff as a quiet leader myself, and I am now sharing that same information, excuse me, with you today and in the other conversations that we have. Now, today's episode, I'm very excited about. It's the first one of the year. But today's episode is I call it that you don't need a new you. Lead with who you are. And here's why. Here's the truth. This time of year, the world gets very loud about reinvention. You hear it if you haven't heard it already. New year, new you, do more, be more, hustle harder, all the things. Okay. But if you're anything like me, you've probably felt the weight of trying to just keep up with all that pressure. It's too much. And today I want to talk about a different path. Okay. I know that you're probably wondering, like, why is she even talking about this? Why does this even matter? Well, I'll tell you why. Okay. You probably seen it. You probably saw it already. All the posts, all the webinars, and the start fresh challenges and all the things. Okay. And the reason why is because we're told, stuff like, this is your year to change everything. And, or something like, you need to become a new version of yourself. You probably even heard, what you've done so far isn't enough, right? I know I've heard all the stuff too, but look, I felt that same pressure. There have been so many times in my career of over 17 years where I questioned myself quite a few times, okay? Especially recently when I was starting something new, or even prior to starting my current uh, endeavor. Um, Before that, when I was in HR, when I was starting a new role, I would question whether who I was would be, I'll say, enough to lead something new. Okay. So, for example, I'll give you an example. When I started just putting myself out there, even before building this brand or showing up online, um, just using my voice in general. Before I did all that stuff, I was just starting to use my voice. I thought that I had to be louder, like physically louder. I thought I had to be bolder. I thought that I had to become somebody else in order to lead in a way that people would respect what I was saying. Okay. Why? Because that's what I saw. But the more that I tried to wear a version of myself that I actually wasn't, the more I just became so exhausted. Okay. And I was like, this is not life. This cannot be life. And that's when it clicked for me. What clicked is that you don't need to build trust by changing who you are. You actually build trust by showing up as who you've always been. But in doing that, do it with more clarity and conviction. Okay. You see, you don't need a new identity to create new impact. I'm going to say that again. You don't need a new identity to create new impact. Why? Because you already have what you need. The refinement, and I always think about, when you get the software upgrades. This is a software upgrade for us. That refinement comes from within. It doesn't come from starting over. You don't scrap everything, you refine it. Now, I know many of you think that, okay, the new year is about reinvention. Well, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert today. It's not. So let's get into what today is really about. It is not about resolutions. It's not about throwing out the old you. Okay. It's actually about recognizing that your leadership is already powerful. Yep, your leadership is already powerful. You just need to clear out that noise and lead from the core of who you really are. Okay. That's all you got to do. See, sounds simple, right? So, during our time here today, I want to share three. One, two, three. I'm going to call them core insights, not truths, not teachings. I know usually I talk about truths and teachings, not today. These are just honest reflections from my own personal journey, and things that I have obtained in working with other quiet leaders. These are not about goals. These are more like, think of them as reminders or grounding points or anchors, if you will, for this season. Okay, we're gonna call this is a season where we're just refining some things. Okay, so let's get into it. Insight number one: you do not need to burn it all down. I repeat, you do not need to burn it all down. There's this idea that a new year means a full on reset. Now, by all means, if you need a full on reset, hey, do you? That's fine. But that mindset has us constantly starting over instead of what we should be doing, which is building momentum. And I want to tell you about a time where I was very, very close to scrapping everything. Okay. I had been working behind the scenes for months on my podcast idea. I told you, for those that have been watching or have not, I had this idea for quite some time. I recorded, I planned, but at that time I felt that it wasn't big enough, right? And I almost walked away from it. But something in me said three words: do it anyway. Okay. And I went on ahead and I launched the Quiet Mic. Now, even though it's still growing, I've already seen how it's helping people. It's helping people because I didn't throw it away. I just did it. Okay. So for you, it may look a little different. And I thought of some ideas on what that could look like for you. It might mean that you don't need a new niche. Okay. You just might need to speak more clearly to the ones that you will already have, to the people that you already have. It may mean that you don't need a new brand. You might just need to bring more of you, bring more of yourself into it. That could be the missing piece. It could mean that you don't need to toss out your offers. I know a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, we do that. It might mean that you need to just better explain why your offers matter and why your audience needs it. You know, you're not stuck. You're just standing on strategy that you haven't fully trusted yet. Yep. You're standing on strategy that you haven't fully trusted yet. What does that mean? That means that your work does not need to be tossed. Instead, it needs to be seen. And in order for it to be seen, you need to keep showing up. Okay? You need to keep showing up. I can't say that enough. Show up. Okay. Now, moving on. My second insight, number two: your way just may work if you stick with it. Okay. We live in a world where people are pivoting every 30 seconds. My goodness, it is a lot. I'm just gonna tell you, if I'm not feeling it, I don't know if you feeling it, but it's a lot. Now, I know as quiet leaders, it's easy to second guess ourselves when, we don't see fast results, and we just start thinking like, well, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I need to change this. Maybe I need to change that. But here's what I've learned. Quiet does not mean ineffective. Okay. Quiet means intentional. I'll give you an example. When I first started speaking, I tell people this all the time. I was terrified. And because I was terrified, I avoided it for years. Even leading HR trainings made my palms sweat, and I would avoid it at any chance that I could. And I used to think that if I wasn't the loudest in the room, then people would not take me seriously. Um, but guess what I did? I kept showing up anyway, nervous and all. And people started telling me stuff like, oh, that made so much sense. Or nobody's ever explained it to me like that before. That was clear. That connected for me. And that did something for me. It gave me the momentum to keep going. Okay. And I didn't stop. So for you, I thought of some examples of what sticking with it might just look like. It might look like that email list that you have where you only email people once a month. But guess what's waiting on the other side of that? There's somebody waiting for your next message. So guess what? Keep going. Or how about a LinkedIn post that only gets 12 likes or less than 12 likes? There's somebody that rereads it quietly. Or how about the voice memo that you send to a client and it becomes that clarity that they needed in order to move forward with your offer? Okay. These are all things that you wouldn't know if you don't stick with it, right? You see, it's not that your way doesn't work, it's that you haven't worked it long enough to even see, okay? You don't need to borrow somebody else's playbook, right? You don't need to borrow somebody else's playbook. You need to own yours. Now, that's if there's some good plays in that playbook, right? Now, if there's no good plays, then yeah, you might need to scrap that playbook. Um, but if there's some good plays in there, stay the course and keep going. And that brings us to insight number 3. Okay. Number 3 is you do not have to be fully healed in order to be helpful. I'm going to pause on this one because this one's hard, especially for those of us who want to do things with integrity, because we hold back. And we hold back because we think like I haven't figured it all out yet. And I want to say this to you. Neither have I. But guess what? I'm still here. I'm still growing. I'm still navigating. I'm still finding my rhythms. Look at what happened with the audio today. But guess what? I came back and we still going to do it. Okay? What I've seen what I've seen is that when I speak up anyways, when I create anyway, when I lead anyway, that's how people get free. Not by watching somebody who's perfect, but by watching someone who's honest. Okay. That's how people get free. That's how people are connecting. Okay. And for you, it may look something like you sharing how you're learning boundaries. And because you decided to share how you're learning boundaries, somebody on the other side is breathing a sigh of relief because they know that they're not alone. And you're saying something that they're potentially, possibly afraid to say. Or you talk about burnout, right? And in that, somebody realizes that they're not alone. Okay. Or let's say that you admit you're nervous, right? You're very nervous to launch a new offer or just nervous in general to launch something. And somebody says, thank you for saying it. That's one that happens a lot. Thank you for saying the quiet part out loud. Thank you for saying it. You see, people don't need your perfection. They don't need you to be perfect. So stop thinking that. They need your permission to show up real. They need your permission to show up honest. And here's why. It's because your honesty, it's what gives others a starting point. When they see you, they're like, well, if she did it, then I can do it. Okay? They don't follow you because you're flawless. I'm not flawless, but people are following me. They follow you because you're real. That matters. That matters. Okay. Now, I know I threw a few things at you. So I want to slow it down for just a second. And I want to ask you, Have you been waiting to become someone else before you decide to take action? What does that look like for you? Like, what are you saying that you have to wait on until you take action? What do you keep telling yourself that you have to wait on? Is it, oh, I need more people, or I need I need audio equipment. I need, it's people that started with far less than you and they're making a lot of moves, okay? Or what is it that you've held back thinking that you need more clarity on, more experience on? You need to be more polished, okay? What would it look like for you to lead as you are today? Okay. Go ahead, put it in the comments below. It's 2026. We're going to help each other. Okay. We're going to help each other because what you put down today helps somebody in the future. Okay. That might mean posting the content before you second guess it and delete it. Yep, been there before. Maybe that means saying yes to speaking on a panel even if your voice is shaking, right? Say yes. Do it. Do it anyway. Okay. Maybe it means launching the offer even if no one claps right away. Okay. It might mean that. Because here's the thing, you do not need a new you. I want to repeat that. You do not need a new you. You need to believe that the current you is already capable. You need to believe that the current you is already capable. Okay. That's all I have for you today. Okay. I wasn't going to be here before you long, but I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I want to thank you for tuning in today, whether it's live or the replay. This conversation was personal, and if it landed, I would love to hear from you. Okay. So go ahead, drop a comment, share this one with other people, send a message and tell me what hit home, right? This is the first day of 2026. We're going to do some things. We're going to ramp up a new version of ourselves, okay? As a reminder, I go live every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube. So, please make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell and make sure you share this with somebody that really needs to stop shrinking and needs to start showing up. Okay. And remember, the quiet ones move the room. So let your quiet speak loud. Okay. Until next time, bye.